Hi, and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. My name is Sera Doğramacı. I'm Ice Hockey Australia Goaltender Development Manager, and today with me I have Dave Turik, who is the AIHL Commissioner. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm looking forward to having a chat.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. I think there's a lot that's going to come out of this, but let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Talk us through how you became involved in hockey and why specifically you became a goalie.
Right. Okay. Look at it. I grew up in Canada, in a small country town, but it was a hockey hotbed. We had world championship hockey teams. My dad played on championship teams, Canada and the world. And we regularly had visiting hockey players coming through. My dad was heavily involved with the Western International Hockey League. So that was just was natural, and we literally learned how to skate before you learned how to walk. So I clearly remember my earliest memories holding my parents' hands on the ice, working your way around, right? So that was it was natural to be involved in hockey. Goaltending wise, I played. I had an older brother who was 5 years older, and when we played road hockey, if I wanted to play with him, it was in goal. Okay, and so that started the love of goaltending, and although on the ice, my dad was a forward, quite a strong centerman, and so he always wanted me to play either forward or defense. And so for the first 5-6 years I played as a forward,
Okay.
which really helped with the skating, and that's something that they were keen on, and power skating and all that kind of thing was just coming in back way back then, right? So it's fortunate to do that, and then when my dad acquiesced and allowed me to start playing goal, I had two of the best goaltending coaches around, and goalie coaches were pretty rare at the time as well. So I had one who was a world champion who I, like everybody at that stage, I was catching with my left hand, but he was very big on puck handling, so he converted me over to catching with my right hand, which became quite an advantage because when I was playing in the 70s and 80s, it was quite rare. Still, there's only a few goalies. And then the other goalie coach was Seth Martin, who played for the St. Louis Blues on the World Championship teams as well. But also, he was Vladislav Tretiak's boyhood idol, from the play that he had in Europe. So between those two guys, I was really fortunate to get some good teaching and learnings in. So I guess through minor hockey, I won the most valuable player several times. Went on to play college hockey locally. Ernie Gare, who's a coach, he was the one that encouraged us all to either travel or get an education with your hockey abilities. His son was Danny Gare, who was the captain of the Buffalo Sabres at the time, and Ernie played hockey with my dad locally. And so then I played college hockey, and I ended up playing against the guys that were on the Miracle on Ice, the U.S. team. So that's sort of the vintage that I was at. And although it was a bit embarrassing being in the States at the time when the U.S. won, because I don't know if you recall, but prior to the tournament, the U.S. got smashed a couple times. And so I was going around to the American players on the team and anybody who would listen, saying, the only reason you guys are in this tournament is because you're hosting it. It's and then they won the gold medal. So that was a goalie move.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and then from there, I was in Illinois. They wanted, I guess there was an opportunity with the Washington Capitals, and to go to camp. They wanted me to transfer to Brown University, but they didn't have all the courses, so I couldn't transfer,
right.
Which meant no full ride, which meant you weren't going to go pay big Ivy League school fees, right? So. So I ended up playing a year senior hockey in Canada, and I was going to coach at the Team Canada Hockey School on Vancouver Island with a goalie called Rugi Vachon. Yeah, that summer actually, before coming down to Australia, or deciding to come down to Australia, there was a hockey school. I guess one of the highlights for me as a high school goalie prior was facing Bobby Hull and getting. He took a slap shot. Everybody wanted to take a slap shot. He wasn't shooting that hard, and he took one, and I made the save, but it was more like he hit me rather than the save.
You
right?
got in the way.
So so I went around the high school going, see this bruise? Yeah, Bobby Hull, Bobby Hull, right? But yeah, so it was fun that way, and yeah, the opportunity came to Australia, and 1981, fell in love with the people, the place, the opportunity.
How did that opportunity come about to even come to Australia in the first place?
Yeah, look at that. I think there was a touring team locally that from my hometown or the region,
Okay.
and I guess there's some names that were thrown around. So I was approached to see if I wanted to come down. Again, yeah, look, it was either, I was really looking forward to the Team Canada Hockey School, but then I thought, yeah, if there's an opportunity to travel the world, you take that. So
Absolutely.
my first year I played with in Newcastle, the people were absolutely sensational, and Gary Dory and his wife Leanne. I played, it was Gary's first year as well, and Leanne's family were tremendous. You're looking after the players, and that was something. It was different than playing in Canada and the U.S. This the way it was, right? And second year I wanted to play in Sydney, just job wise, so I played for Canterbury and had a lot of fun there. And then moved across, lived in Manly, and the rest of the time I played for Narrabeen and the Riga Bombers, which became quite a successful club.
Oh, that's so cool. So then, had you in 1981 when you came, did you just stay here? Did you go back? What happened? You've been here for that long now.
Yeah, no, that's right. So I after the first season I went back.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess in the middle of a Canadian winter, I thought the Australian beaches were looking pretty good, and decided to come back. And then a couple of years into it, in '83, I met my wife, and then decided, yep, this is the place to be. And she's put up with me ever since. So yeah, so that's where it's been. And then work-wise. I sort of faded out of hockey after a few years with the Bombers, just work commitments, but Rick Williams and I started a sports marketing company, Impart International Sports and Entertainment, where our first meetings were with the National Hockey League to bring teams to Australia, just after the Summer Olympics in Sydney. And then along the way, we've had different projects looking at, and we introduced the miking of officials to the NHL. So the guys that were doing rugby league and rugby union locally, we got them to go across and mic the referees at Niagara at the referees camp. And then a couple of years later, they introduced us to the Situation Room in Toronto, where they make the real-time decisions with Carl Campbell. And he that became we introduced that to the National Rugby League, and so that became the NRL bunker. So if you don't like the bunker, that's my fault and Rick Williams' fault. We're the ones that drove that originally, right? So, but it works extraordinarily well. You can get all the statistics for the NHL. The real-time decision making is far stronger than it was.
Yeah, that's so cool. Awesome. Okay, so you've been here for a long time now, so surely you've seen the development and the growth of hockey here. Have there been, I guess, the positives of what you've seen in terms of the goalie development?
Yeah, look at well, right now, I don't think there's ever been a better time to be an up-and-coming goalie in Australia, right? I think it's fantastic, both male and female, with the opportunities and the pathways domestically.
Mhm.
So that's tremendous, and I think the evolution of equipment over the time that I've been here too plays a huge difference, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think that's great. But then the forwards are bigger, faster, stronger as well, right? So it's all, you got to put things in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so evolution of AIHL, that's also happened in your time as well. So
Yeah.
how has that changed since the inception to where it is now?
Yeah, look at that. I think likewise. I think the playing quality of players has progressed and developed further. There's been chunks and changes over 20 years of clubs, and right now we don't have a team in Queensland, but we'd love to have a team in Queensland to be truly national, and so I think that could be on the cards over the next couple of years. But look at, in terms of goaltending, I think it's something that is a priority for me, and being part of the goalies union. I think Australian goalies, we need as many Kimlins with the Sydney Bears as we can get, and there's nothing stopping female goalies from playing in the AIHL either,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
In the fullness of time, we've had female goalies in the NHL, right? So that's all something to look at.
Yeah.
But I think that comes down to ice time. It comes down to the coaching, which again, they're in a tremendous position with yourself and other coaches around the country. But yeah, they need the opportunities, and I think one thing with the AIHL is that the teams have been pretty focused on getting international goalies, which is harmed some of the
Yeah.
development for the Australian goalies. So that's something that we need to work on.
So what are you looking at doing to support the local goalies in Australia? Are there any things that are going to be implemented next year or?
Yeah, well, look, I think, to be frank, I think COVID is going to help, right? Right. So, with most teams bringing down 4 or 5 imports, I don't think it's going to be a wise financial decision for them,
Mm.
for the clubs to do that. So, I suspect it's going to be either no imports or just a couple,
Or minimum, yeah.
minimum. And if they're only going to bring down 1 or 2, they're probably going to bring down a goal scorer.
Mm.
As opposed to a goalie, right? So it's the best opportunity for local goalies, guys. Come on, you got to get out there and show your stuff. So so I think that's exciting. Where this past season we would have gone into a 60-minute stop time format, which helps with Australian player development as well, because you can't just run 2 lines the whole time and play the imports and the expats. You got to bring it all together.
Mhm.
And then we're going to look at other things as well, perhaps the extension of the season, and that sort of thing going forward as well, which I'd like to see more emphasis on the quality of the Australian players throughout, so forwards, defense, goalies, to for the team that actually wins the Goodall Cup.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you can't develop if you don't give the opportunities out in the first place. And I think that by minimizing the imports that are coming in, then goalies can see, I guess, the pathway of, oh, hey, maybe I can actually get a shot with ice time being a starter and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we've been in discussions with a gentleman that played at the same time that I did, Mike Johnson. He played for a couple of years at Narrabeen. First time he ever coached was at Narrabeen, coaching Australian players,
Oh,
boys and girls. I think Narrabeen had 2 girls teams at that stage back in the early 80s.
mhm.
Yeah, he went on to coach Canadian College, Canadian University, Spengler Cup teams, Canadian national junior teams, and right through to the Pittsburgh Penguins as the head coach. And he's one of the coaches that likes and he enjoys coaching the goalies. So
Nice.
he'll have a goalie coach, Andy Moog,
Mhm.
who won 3 Stanley Cups. And between them, we're looking at bringing Mike and his wife down during the course of the season, their off season, and working with the young goalies. But Mike agrees that it's got to be something that's ongoing. It's not just 2 weeks. I'm here and see you later,
Absolutely.
right? So we got to integrate that with you, and then see what we do going forward. But yeah, so I think there's lots of opportunities like that.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Okay, so hopefully next year the league comes back bigger, better than ever, somewhat normal.
Okay.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Yeah.
What would you, any advice or recommendations to younger goalies that are looking to play in the AIHL? What should they be doing now?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, Sarah. Um, First of all, listen to the coaches. And I know I'm speaking to the converted, but I can tell you as an old goalie that I didn't always do that, right? So that's something that probably should have, listened better along the way. But yeah, so I think suck in as much ice time as you can, suck in as much learning as you can about the position, about how you play the position individually. One of the things we've discussed in the past is the ability to compete,
Mhm.
and that's something that head coaches can make you work hard at training. They don't necessarily make you compete, and that's something that you got to do yourself. It's got to be inbred, or it's something that you develop internally. And that's competing on every shift. It's competing on every drill. It's competing for your spot. It's and continually competing, right? And having that attitude. And my wife used to look at me and that I'd win man of the match, and we'd have a good game. I'd win man of the match, and I wouldn't be happy at the pub because I wasn't happy about one of the goals on it, right? So it's one of those things that just an internal drive, I guess, with that. But some of the other things, attention to detail, and it could be simple things that most people wouldn't realize, right? But it can really help facilitate breakouts. So when you stop the puck behind the net, where do you leave the puck? And that's being aware of who's coming to collect it. And does that person coming from the right, does he like to pick it up on his forehand or his backhand? If he comes from the left, maybe he likes to pick it up on his backhand and swing it around. And so if you just leave it in an inconvenient place for him, that's when it gets tied up on the stick, it gets tied up in the
Right.
skates. And all of a sudden you got pressure back on, right? So it's things like that to be aware of.
Yeah, I think it's just those game situations as well, being able to read the game as well. And I encourage goalies whenever a coach is talking through a drill that the goalie shouldn't just be off doing their own thing. They should pay attention to what the drill is and know what your role is going to be in that. And I guess that also puts the onus back on the coaches as well. If you're doing a drill that's for the players, what are you asking for the goalies to do as well? I think everyone needs to be working together on that,
Yeah, 100%. And goalies are like the quarterbacks, right?
right?
And on the ice, and you're getting a different perspective than the coaches or anybody else, right? So you're watching them come down the ice, you're watching the breakouts, you're watching what's happening with your defense, who's high and who's low, what's going on. So participate in the discussions, between periods and with the coaching staff, because you have a unique perspective on the game.
Absolutely. And I think communication is key. And on that, I look forward to all the leagues and associations working together just for the betterment of Australian hockey. So
Yeah.
I do look forward to seeing everything somewhat back to normal next year, and
Fingers crossed.
especially right, and especially development of the local players, especially for the
Yeah.
goalies.
Yeah.
So Dave, thank you so much for your time today. I hope that everyone can see the light at the end of the tunnel and things that they can look forward to.
Thank you for the opportunity again. And yes, let's get everybody back on the ice and enjoy a good season next year.
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks.